Ooh, say what, say what, say what? Yeah, girl, you know what's up. Ooh, say what, say what, say what? Ooh, girl, you know what's up.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Nikki here. So today I am going to go over flashback free makeup. Now if you guys aren't aware as to what I'm talking about, it's when you go out on a night out or you're getting your photo taken with flash, or you're taking a selfie with flash and it flashes back at you, so your foundation appears a lot lighter, or it looks like in the photograph, you're horrified by the photograph because it looks like you've been sniffing cocaine because you've got like a white powder or residue all over your face and you look kind of like a mess. Now that can get frustrating, and I've struggled with this problem for years. It's been quite difficult because you don't know what the problem is, so you can't fix it. But I've learned some tips and tricks along the way as to what has worked for me. Now personally, this is everything that has helped me, so it may not work for you. I do go against some of the myths, or like some of the things that people do say what it is for sure. But these are just some of the things that have worked for me. So if you want to see how I achieve my flashback free makeup, then just keep on watching. Okay, so your first step would be moisturizing and priming. Now I can't stress enough to you guys to understand your skin, so it's really important for you to realize what your skin's like. Now my skin is dry to dehydrated. It tends to feel quite tight, therefore it is dehydrated, and it can get a little bit dry. If your skin is oilier in the T-zone but a little bit drier on the outskirts, then I feel like it's really important to prime to what your skin is. So maybe use more of a mattifying or an oil control lotion down the center, and then a heavier moisturizer on the sides. I will be going in with a heavy moisturizer just to start off with, because we are going to be using concealers, we're going to be using liquid, and we're going to be using powders as well. So I want to make sure that my skin is very heavily moisturized. Now the moisturizer that I'm going to use is just your bog standard NIVEA Soft. I feel like because it's a little bit oilier on the skin, I like it because I have a dehydrated skin, but go with whatever moisturizing cream you like. Now next we would go on to priming the skin. So what you want to stay away from is anything that is illuminating. So I've got MAC Strobe Cream, I've got the PS Pro range, which is the illuminating primer that you can find in Primark. And you also want to stay away from SPF, anything with an SPF factor. That's just because these will create flashback. They may not, but they may, so it's just better to stay on the safe side and not use them as a primer. I've also got the MAC Face Protect Lotion SPF 50. This is just because they have light reflector particles in them, so they do have the tendency to flash back. Now I'll be sticking with what's going to be best for my skin and using the SMASHBOX Photo Finish Hydrating Primer. Now this is going to help ensure that my skin is hydrated even more, and it's also going to create a really nice smooth canvas for when we put our foundation on. Now even though I don't tend to get oily at all, I'm going to be using a mattifying gel, and this one's by MAC, and I'm just going to pop this in the T-zone just because I want this to be completely shine free and I don't want this area to reflect any light whatsoever. You can see just how quickly this product mattifies, so it's going to be perfect for you if you do have an oilier T-zone or oilier skin. So now I'm just going to go ahead and use MAC's Fast Response Eye Cream underneath my eyes. This is just because I suffer from tightness from underneath the eyes, where I feel like I have dehydrated skin, and this is just going to really hydrate. Now the under eyes is one of the areas as well that creates flashback when you highlight a little bit too much, and it can look a little bit white. So I really want to make sure that this area is nicely moisturized and plump. Now, when it comes to foundations, my mind boggles me. I cannot understand. There are so many brands, high street, drugstore, high-end, SPF, no SPF, airbrushed, HD, and I can understand why it gets so confusing. So I've sort of kind of narrowed it down for what works best for me. I've learned that you can have SPF in your foundation, but you want the SPF to be low. So you want it to be a minimum of 15. I've also learned over time that HD doesn't necessarily mean that it's HD in photographs. It means that it's HD for filming. It can work with flash photography, but sometimes it doesn't. So I stay away, or I try and stay a little bit clear of HD when it comes to knowing that I'm gonna get my photo taken with flash. So usually I would go for what color I like and what matches and what gives me the cover that I want, really. But when it comes to going out on a night out or knowing that your photo is gonna be taken with flash, with direct flash, quite a lot, then you wanna be a bit picky about what foundation you're gonna pick. Now, another thing that I have learned is you wanna stick to the same color as your skin. Try not to go a little bit lighter, like 2 shades lighter, 1 shade lighter, half a shade lighter. Try and stick to the same color as your skin. And I always stress this because I would rather go darker than I would lighter. The only reason being is because when you are a little bit tan like myself, the outskirts of your face are gonna be darker and the central part of your face is going to be brighter and lighter, or wherever the sun's gonna hit it is gonna be a little bit darker, like the bridge of your nose. So you kind of wanna go for a color in between the two, or you wanna go darker. Never go for the lighter color that you are in the central part, because that would make these areas on the outskirts look a little bit ashy. Now, the foundations that I have found that work for me have been the Maybelline Dream Flawless Nude. You've also got the MAC Face and Body. I've got the GIROGIO ARMANI Luminous Silk Foundation, and I've also got the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. Now, what I'm gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be using the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation, and this is in the shade Golden Amber SDSW. I'm going to be popping this just in the central part of my face. I'm also going to be avoiding my under eye area just because I don't want to put the foundation, the lighter foundation here, because I know it's going to turn ashy straight away. So just pop it on the areas that it would match. So once I've done that, I'm gonna go in with my Armani Luminous Silk, and this is in the shade number 9. It's a little bit darker, so it's gonna match the outskirts of my face, and then I'm gonna blend the two foundations together. Now, another thing I just wanna stress to you guys is please, please, please take the color down to your neck and also take it down to your chest area, because when you are taking a photo, sometimes it can all look a little bit mismatched in color. Now, when it comes to concealer, that's a whole new ball game altogether. I'm obsessed with concealers and I'm a hoarder of concealers, but when it comes to flashback photography, I recommend that you stay just the same color as your natural skin, and you don't want to go all the way out up to here. So we're just going to go with the natural color of our skin, and then we might go in with a little bit of highlight, but nothing too cray. So what that would be for me would either be the NARS, what's this called? The NARS Caramel Concealer, the Radiant Creamy Concealer, or the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, but I have to mix the shades NC45 and 42 to get the nice skin color for myself. So just going in with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, we're just gonna take it not all the way to the temple, but just up to what we need to conceal, so just the darkness, and then we're just gonna blend this out with a damp beauty blender. I literally don't know how I feel about these NARS creamy concealers. I love them, but I hate them because they run out so damn quick. Now, if you do want to highlight, I would steer clear from like the Prep and Prime highlighters or anything that's got illuminating factors that are quite lightweight and they're going to illuminate the under eye. That's just because some of these products, the ingredients in them, they have like light reflector particles in them, so I feel like they would flash back, and particularly underneath the eye, that's where you don't want it to look completely white. Now, in terms of color as well, I would just go 1 shade lighter. So I'm actually just gonna go for Biscuit by NARS, which is 1 shade lighter than my under eye. There's also Ginger as well, which I like to use, but I feel like it's gonna be a bit too light for my under eye. So when I'm highlighting with Biscuit, I'm literally just gonna highlight a little bit here. Now, this is a little bit lousy because this concealer's more or less run out. I'm not going to take it all the way up to here because that's when you get a funny line, and this is my danger zone right here. This is what I'm known for, the line that goes straight across, and as much as you blend it out, I feel like when the flash hits it, you can see it. So I'm just going to now buff this out with a damp beauty blender. Now, what I also want to do is I want to just take this round the central part of my face, just so my face isn't highlighted just underneath my eyes. I need a little bit of balance to my base. And then I'm just going to go ahead and blend that out with a damp beauty blender. Now, powder is where it's at. It's where all the drama starts with this silica, with this mica, with this silver mica, white powders, skin powders. It's all where it's at, and I feel like this is very true. So what I stay away from is I'm going to stay away from anything like Makeup Forever's HD powder, because it's a white powder and it's a HD powder, so I know that it's for HD filming and it's not so much for flash photography, I am gonna gear more towards the skin color powders. Now the reason why I stay away from a white powder and go towards a skin tone powder is because the white powders usually contain silica. Now I feel like the skin colored powders contain silica as well as mica as well, so we're not really in a win-win situation at all. But what I find is that when you put the white powder on my skin, just because I do have a drier or dehydrated skin, if the white powder doesn't absorb completely into my skin, then it's gonna sit on top of the skin and the naked eye can't see it. So when the flash reflects off it, it's really gonna pick that white powder up, and that's why I go for a skin tone powder. Now don't get me wrong at all, if you have an oilier skin, then by all means go with the white powder, because the natural oils of your skin are most likely gonna absorb the powder and it's gonna go completely clear, and you're not gonna get the white cast when you do the flash photography. So they do say that when using a powder, try and stay away from a mineral powder and try and stay away from silica, I believe. I couldn't find any powder that doesn't have silica in, and I've tried this Gosh powder as well before in the past and it's been fine for me. I also like the MAC Mineralize. Now I tend to stick with loose, I just feel like it works better with my skin. I'm not too sure why. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bake with a damp beauty blender underneath my eye with this powder, and then I'm going to actually use a fan brush, and I'm going to use a fan brush to lightly dust this powder all over the skin. That way I'm not overusing the powder and the powder doesn't sit too much on my skin and it absorbs into it. That way I'm not going to get the white cast when it comes to flash photography. I also forgot to mention to you guys that this is why I've heavily moisturized, so this powder can absorb really nicely into the skin. Now for bronzer, I'm going to go in with NYX's matte bronzer, and this is in the shade Deep Tan. It's a beautiful colour. It's not too orangey, it's a little bit cool toned but with a little warmth, and I'm going to pop this on with a stippling brush. I'm using a stippling brush just because it's going to be a little bit more of a softer application, so it's not going to be anything too harsh, and I'm just going to go around the perimeter of the face and just give it a little bit of warmth and contour my cheeks a little bit with it as well. Now for blusher, I feel like it's important to go for something that's not too shimmery, because sometimes you get that sheen or the overpowering glitteriness on the cheeks. So I stick with something that's matte because it's just a safe option, and today I'm going to go in with Sigma's Core de Rosa, which is a beautiful coral colour, and then I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Raizin as well, which is a little bit warmer, just to add some warmth and some colour to the cheeks. So just mixing these two shades together, I'm just going to pop them on with this fluffy angle brush just on the apples of the cheeks, and then working them up towards the temple, just making sure that most of the pigment is on the apple of the cheek. So now we've come to highlighters, which is my favourite bit. You want to stay away from anything that's got too much glitter in, because that's really going to reflect the light and give you kind of more of an oilier skin than you may want, or it's gonna give you kind of just not a very aesthetically pleasing highlight. So I'm gonna go for a highlight that's got more of a sheen. It's got some glitter in, but it's more of a sheen, like an oil slick, as opposed to disco ball glitter, like something like maybe MAC Soft and Gentle would give you, or Mary Luminizer, Mary Lou would give you. Just go for something that's got a little bit more of a sheen. So I'm gonna go with Makeup Revolution's Vivid Bronzer, their baked bronzer, and this is in the shade Rock on World. Now this is more of like a sun-kissed kind of goldeny look, kind of like a Gold Deposit by MAC maybe, but without so much glitter. And then I'm also going to mix it with the MAC Mineralize highlighter, or the MAC Mineralize skin finish in Global Glow, just to soften it a little bit and take the edge off the kind of orangey goldiness of it. Now I'll be mixing both shades together just using a fan brush, and then I'm only going to take the product up to where my temple area is, to midway to the cheek area. I'm not going to take it all the way down the cheek, because that's when I'll get a really glowy stripe, and I don't want any stripes when I'm having flash photography taken. I just love how highlight changes your life. Like, I just want to take moving photos constantly like this. I bet a lot of us are like this, right? Now, I felt the need to put on a dark lip and put on a wing for you guys just to finish this makeup look off. The last thing that I would suggest is use a fixing spray. It could be a matte one, it could be a dewy one, it doesn't matter. It could even be one of them hydrating ones. The reason being is because we've layered on powders, the blusher, we've got our skin colored powder, then we've got all of our foundation, our concealer. Just spraying this spray is going to help them powders sit or absorb into the skin, and it's not going to create any sort of white cast that you may suffer with flash photography. Now, some of my go-tos are the Urban Decay All Nighter Spray, which I need to repurchase because I've run out. I've also run out of the MAC Fix Plus, which I absolutely love. It doesn't fix your makeup, so to speak, but it hydrates and it refreshes. But I'm going to be trying the BARRYM Dewy Finish Mist and Fix makeup setting spray today. It's the first time that I'm using it, so I'll let you guys know how I get on. Now, all I want to do is just spritz this all over the skin. I completely like to drench myself when it comes to fixing spray. I'm not too sure why, but just spray it all over and let it absorb nicely into the skin. So that is it, guys, for this flashback free makeup tutorial. If you enjoyed my tips and tricks and you enjoyed the talk through as well, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Also like this video so I know that I need to do more tips and tricks and more talk through videos for you guys. And I guess that is it. Until next time, I will see you in my next video.
Ooh, say what, yeah.